The term child labour is often defined as work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential, so interferes with their schooling, and their dignity, and that is harmful to physical and mental development. Not all work done by children should be classified as child labour. Saturday jobs, earning pocket money outside of school hours, holiday jobs, these can actually be positive and contribute towards a child's development, providing skills, confidence, and preparing them for adulthood. How you define child labour depends on the child's age, the type of work that they're doing, the hours of work that they're performing, the conditions under which they are working. And this actually can vary from country to country. Whilst child labour does take many different forms, there is a priority to eliminate without delay the worst forms of child labour, as defined by Article 3 of ILO's Convention number 182. And what we mean by the worst forms of child labour, it means all forms of slavery or practices, such as the sale and trafficking of children, debt bondage, forced or compulsory labour, the use, procurement or offering of children for prostitution, for the production of pornographic or pornographic performances, the use, procuring or offering of a child for illicit activities, in particular for the production and trafficking of drugs, and work which, by its nature or the circumstance, is likely to harm the health, safety or morals of children. So when we think about hazardous child labour, again this has been defined, and under Article 3 of the ILO Recommendations number 190, it talks about hazardous work activities which should be prohibited, and that includes work which exposes children to physical, psychological or sexual abuse, working underground, underwater, at dangerous heights or in confined spaces, working with dangerous machinery, equipment and tools, or which involves the manual handling or transporting of heavy loads, working in an unhealthy environment which may, for example, expose children to hazardous substances, agents or processes, or to temperature, noise levels, vibration damaging their health. And finally, working under particular difficult conditions such as working for long hours or during the night, or work where the child is unreasonably confined to the premises of the employer. Child labour remains a persistent problem in the world today. The latest global estimations indicate that 160 million children, that's 63 million girls and 97 million boys, are in child labour globally. That accounts for almost 1 in 10 of all children worldwide. 79 million children, nearly half of all of those in child labour, were in hazardous work that directly endangers their health, safety and moral development. Child labour is more prevalent amongst boys than girls, and the agricultural sector accounts for the largest share of child labour worldwide. You would be forgiven to consider that child labour is something that happens in other countries or it's from Victorian times, but it's still happening today in the UK. Our understanding to protect children in work environment started with the recruitment of children for industrial production, which began in Britain in the 18th century. Children as young as 5 were working in mines, cleaning the inside of coal-burning chimneys, working in mills, textiles and factories, labouring in agricultural settings. If you follow health and safety in the UK, you'd have learnt about the Health and Morals Apprentices Act of 1802 and a succession of legislation including the Factories Act of 1833 and 1844 and Young Persons Act of 1933, all with the intention to restrict work that interfered with schooling and define the age limit in hazardous activities. But as we fast forward to 2022, on the 29th of March, the Office of National Statistics released an update on child victims of modern slavery in the UK, discussing the increased numbers. So let's quickly discuss modern slavery. Modern slavery is an umbrella term for all forms of slavery, human trafficking, and exploitation. It can take many forms, including trafficking of people, forced labour, and servitude. It is a crime that is committed across the UK and affects some of the most vulnerable in society, including children. Victims are often hidden away, may be unable to leave the situation, or may not come forward because of fear or shame. It is difficult to predict the numbers. We can only take an educated guess, and also we only are able to understand those that are reported and highlighted. The Office of National Statistics published statement highlighted an increase of 9% in the number of potential child victims in the UK compared with previous years. So that's going from 5,028 to 5,468 child victims. Almost 4/5, so 79%, were for boys. This proportion has rapidly increased since the year ending March 2015. Boys were more likely to have been criminally exploited, while girls were more likely to have been sexually exploited. Over 4/5, 82% of children were aged 15 to 17 years old. These figures are shocking. The UK Modern Slavery Act has been successful in raising awareness with individuals and organisations. There is a much clearer understanding today of the importance of such social issues. Yet we know that modern slavery is prevalent. So how can you help? Firstly, consider your consumer habits. There are a number of organisations that exist which track certain types of products to differentiate those that are produced using fair labour standards. This also includes those produced without child labour. It's really important to educate ourselves about these standards to make informed choices. Speak to your organisation to conduct an audit of their supply chain. Introduce a policy and risk assessment on modern slavery. Raise the profile of modern slavery and child labour. Use your platform for discussion and social debate. Join organisations already engaged in activities against child labour. If you or somebody you know is being or has been exploited, or you are unsure if someone is in need of help, assistance and advice, I've detailed below and also in the commentary box various different contacts that will be able to assist. Stopping child labour will not be achieved by one organisation or individual on their own. Our actions, even the smallest activity, should not be dismissed as being too small to bring about change. It is through small acts of change by us all that we bring social change and put an end to child labour.